Hey guys, while we're still waiting on finishing development on the YOLO V2, thought I'd go through the YOLO V1 while we still have some available and kind of go over what we do, why we do it, and the quality of the parts and that kind of thing. So we'll start with the SPL version on the 12. This is the basket that we use. It does support an 8 3/8 spider as well as the 9 1/4. Very, very strong frame. We don't have any problems with breakage. Excellent frame, works great for SPL. On the musical version, we use what's known as the TI style basket. This has a 10-inch spider landing, so we can get more X-Max, a little bit better sound quality. And the only downside to this is because the terminals mount here. So these are the terminals that we use. They accept 4-gauge wire. These come very close to the edge. So we do recommend that you run the wire through the backside here. That'll keep it clear when you go to mount it. And that kind of goes for any sub that uses this. The band hammer line also uses this basket. We recommend doing that. But it is a very versatile frame. Works very well because it accepts 10-inch spiders, and it does have its advantages for that. Now, one basket that we used to use was this one. And this one does accept 8 3/8 spiders up top. We did use it for both the musical and the SPL versions on the very early versions of the YOLO, so you may see it like this. We did use a different spider between the musical and the SPL, but they were the same size. It is a very sturdy frame. There are some other things that I didn't like about it. It's difficult to work with. It's not very open. You can see here. But it does work rather well, but we found better options, so we're constantly improving our products. So why don't we use the 12-spoke 12-inch? Well, you can see there's not a lot of material around here, and these can get broken very easily down here, but also up here. So these baskets are prone to breaking. In some applications, it really depends on how heavy the motor is. If you've got a 50+ pound motor like is on the YOLO, they can break. If it's a 20 pound motor or something like that, probably not as likely. The other disadvantage, these will only accept up to a 7-inch spider. It will not accept the 8 3/8 like we like to use on the SPL. So we do not use this. We have never used this from the breakage standpoint and the spider limitations. Now the cones, there is no just YOLO cone for any of the sizes. This is what we use on the 12-inch low power SPL. So if you're in the 1,000, 2,000, even up into the 3,000 watt range, we're probably going to use this cone. It is a little bit more efficient. So people that are doing the street stock clamp classes, or even an IASCA and SPL, any of those with the clamp classes, will more than likely use this cone. It's not really limited on throw a whole lot. You can max it out on the 8 3/8 spiders, but it does work very well, particularly in your power applications. This is the cone that we'll use on higher power applications for SPL. When you get into your over 4,000 watts of sub, we're definitely going to use this cone. And we also use it on the musical version of the cone because it does have more X-Max. So when we've got the 10-inch spiders, you've got to have a surround that will accommodate that. We don't just have a fat surround because people will buy it because it looks big. We actually have to have it because it will use all of that in movement. Now the spiders that we use these for SPL. These are the 8 3/8. They are completely stackable, so we can use however many we need to use for the given application. I've got a jig that we made to stack these and glue them together prior to putting them on, so they're not actually built on the sub, they're built separately. And we've got dual leads on here. And we have found that these are sufficient for really any amount of power. We don't have problems with it. In our van, you may have seen the video with 21,000 watts on it, and we don't burn them. It's fine. We do not currently offer direct leads, though we might in the future. I've built a couple, and we're still kind of testing those out. That would be an option at additional cost if you wanted to go that route. You just have to go that way. We may offer that later. And this is the 10-inch spider that we typically use. There we have another one that's similar to this. It's a little bit stiffer. We can use it as well, but this one works the best for most of them, unless you just need it a little bit stiffer because you want a little bit higher FS, anything like that. These also have dual leads. They're extra thick on these. We haven't had a problem with any of these burning or anything like that, as long as you have clean power. If you use total junk amps that just shoot fire, you're going to burn just about any lead. But we haven't had any problems with these burning, anything like that, and they're sufficient for any amount of power that you're going to put on it daily. The coils that we use is a musical coil. It is quite a bit longer than the SPL coil, and we get additional X-Max from that, but this one's a 4-layer and this one is an 8-layer. And we use the 4-layer on the musical because you can have a QTS that's too low to where it actually doesn't sound very good. It's very, very peaky. So we dumb it down a little bit to where it's more musical, but you also get the benefits of the X-Max. So this is the 4-layer coil. This is the 8-layer that we use on the SPL. So this is a lot more wire in the gap. The gaps are tighter. It's just stronger in the end, and that's what you need for SPL. So this coil worked very, very well, and you don't usually need the additional X-Max benefit that you gain from the musical coil. Moving on to the 15-inch model. On the musical version, we use what is known as the TI basket. Same with the 12, it offers 10-inch spider landing, gives you more X-Max. The spiders that we use on it sound very good, as you saw with the 12, which is this spider. This one you don't have to worry so much about the wires on the edge. You can fit that in very, very easily. But this is a very strong basket. Works great for musical applications. And then we have the 12 spoke that we use on the 15s for SPL. Unlike the 12-inch, this one is a little bit stronger. We don't have problems with this breaking, anything like that. Works very, very well. Supports the 8 3/8 spiders that we use on the SPL. Very open, easy to work with. So this works great for the SPL ones. And again, we use the 8 3/8 stackable, easily configurable spiders on the SPL on it. Now for the cones, it is a little different. We actually have 3 different cones that we use on the 15, depending on the application. This is the one that we use for musical applications. It's got a high roll on it. It's pretty strong. Everything you need for music, because you're probably not going to have more than 3,000 watts or so on music. So this works out very well for that application. So having the 10-inch spiders, you get the additional X-Max, and you can max this out, but it won't make any popping noise or anything like that. You're right at the edge of the limits of the spider and everything when you get to the limit of the surround. For the SPL side of things, there are 2 different cones. So again, we don't have just it's a YOLO cone. This cone is a little bit lighter, it's a little bit more efficient. It is not nearly as strong. So on your lower applications for your clamp power classes, this is probably going to be the one that we're going to use, unless there's some other application that you might use it for. But if you're primarily in for competing in clamp power classes below 4,000 or 5,000 watts, you're going to be in this cone, and it works very well. And then this is the cone that we use for everything else. It is super, super strong. This is the cone that we use in 180 vehicles, and it's very, very effective. You see it's built a little bit differently than this one. It is extremely strong. It's not quite as efficient in using it, but it doesn't have any warpage breakage, doesn't crack, break, anything else. This is the next best thing to having a full carbon fiber cone, an actual carbon fiber cone, which we are also working on. We should have the molds for that within the next month or so, and probably you'll start seeing those maybe 2 months. That will not be a cheap option, but it will be a completely made in-house tooled carbon fiber cone. It will only be available in the 15 and 18, but this one will work for pretty much everybody. 181 dB, we haven't broken one, but there are some people that just want the carbon fiber, and there's people with loading issues that might benefit from it as well, from a durability standpoint. So these are the 3 cones that could be found on a YOLO 15. Again, with the coils, the musical one is longer for the 10-inch spiders. 8 3/8 is a little bit. The SPL one goes on the 8 3/8 spider. It's a little bit shorter, but you have more motor strength, tighter gaps. 8 layer, 4 layer. Now moving on to the 18-inch, we use the 6-spoke on the SPL version. It is very, very strong, very, very proven, very open, works very well. Problems with breakage. If you get to motors above 60-70 pounds or so, you may encounter breakage, but the YOLO motor is under that. So 50 something pounds, it's under 60 pounds. Just barely, I think it's like 58 pounds. So we're good there. These work out very well. We do have a 9 1/4 and 8 3/8 landing on these, so we can use a little bit bigger spiders to get a little more throw out of it if needed. Usually the 8 3/8 are sufficient for pretty much everybody doing SPL. Musical version, we're in the TI style basket again. 10-inch spider landing, very strong frame, open, works very well. So this, like all of the other musical sizes, use 10-inch spiders. Sound very good, work very well. The 8 3/8 ones do not sound as good. They're not intended to sound good. They're intended to be loud. They're louder. So those are the baskets that we use on the 18. And again, these spiders that you've seen before on the other sizes. 10-inch spider on the musical, 8 3/8 stackable on the SPL. Still use the same 4-layer longer coil on the musical version. 8 3/8 uses the shorter one, 8-layer. And the cones. There are 2 different cones that we're currently using. This is the one that we will use on a musical version. Does have a higher roll, does allow for more excursion. Works out very great. Very rigid cone, works very well. You can put quite a bit of power on these. So these are your musical ones and your SPL. So it's very, very similar to the 15 SPL. And this is the cone that's in the single 18 in my van. It does a 160.8 with 21,000 watts. This is the cone that's used. It's a paper cone. So these will still take quite a bit of abuse without having to get into carbon fiber, Kevlar, or anything like that. This is just a regular paper cone. All of the cones that we have are paper. They work, they're strong enough, they don't have any problems. That can't be said for every cone. Not all paper cones are created equal. And the fake ones that are paper with some kind of overlay, the overlay adds absolutely no rigidity to it. And they tend to delaminate and that kind of thing. So we don't use those, we only use quality parts. Good strong cones, and we make sure they're always good quality. We don't send anything out that has a defective cone. On the YOLO series, we will be getting some 21-inch baskets, cones, and all that available. Those are going to be probably another month until those are available. Maybe a little more. We'll kind of see how that goes. We've got to build some too. So we will start offering it in a 21-inch. But for now, these are more or less the common parts between the SPL, and the musical. Between all the sizes, so we can adjust and tweak as necessary, particularly on the SPL. We build it for the application. You tell us what frequency you're playing, what size box you have, that kind of thing, and we will adjust the sub how we need to get the most performance out of your SPL. So the musical version you can get in a dual 1 and dual 2. The SPL version is also available in a dual 1 and a dual 2. We should be adding a dual 0.5 option. We may wait until the version 2, but we can build them in the version 1 right now. We have been for a while, but we didn't advertise it. But that is available on those. So if you buy the SPL, make sure when you go through the website you select the SPL option, and in the comments put in what frequency you're playing, box, and that kind of specific stuff. Or you can email us right after the order, and we'll be in touch with you on any of the specifics, so we can build it exactly how we need it to. But on the music one, there's a relatively standard build. If you want something special, we can see what we can do there. They are all built to order exactly to your needs. There is not a carbon fiber dust cap option right now, but there will be on some of the models in the coming months. We've got the tooling that we're waiting on for that to show up, so we can build all those in-house. Be a little bit different than the Armaguard V2 dust cap. They'll be a little bit smaller, but eventually we will have that available as well. The carbon fiber dust cap does not add any rigidity to the cone. It would be completely cosmetic. All the cones are very, very strong, and nothing is going to benefit from that. The only time a dust cap will benefit the cone is if it's very, very high up in the cone. Like say it came all the way up to up here, it might benefit the cone. But that would also only apply if your cone is very weak. If the cone is weak, then it might benefit from the extra rigidity. We don't use weak cones, it's not going to benefit. So that's the wrap up on the YOLO musical and SPL versions that we've got. You can order those on emfcaraudio.com. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find us on there. Like us on Facebook, and share all this information. The only way that people make an educated buy is when they're properly educated. So you don't get education without information. Here's all the information on all of the parts that we use and why, and showing the quality of the parts that we actually use, despite what some might say. We back it up. We have the championship titles. We've got plenty of loud cars. Everything we do, the product speaks for itself. So share this information, post it everywhere. Find us on Facebook and give us a like. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something.